In this week's tech news, we're going to talk about the current GPU market. So stay tuned. Remember to subscribe if you enjoyed my content, like and leave a comment. I want to hear what you guys think about the current GPUs. All right, let's get started. Thank you once again for joining me. Remember to subscribe if you enjoy my content. Leave a comment down below. I want to know what GPU you guys are using, and if you're in the market now, what type of GPU that you're looking for. I know that recently I've been looking at a few GPUs in a few different price brackets in order to test them, to get some benchmarks and see what's good. And it's really confusing to choose a good GPU. I'm not even saying, a 1660 versus a 2060 versus a 2070. Within the actual family of the GPU, you have so many options. For example, let's say if we're in the market for a 2070 Super. Okay, so now you have to think, do I really want the 2070 Super, or can I get a used 2070 for a lot cheaper? Even if you don't go that far, you walk into a Micro Center, or you go on Amazon or Newegg or anywhere that you're going to go shopping for your GPU where they only have 2070 Supers. There are so many different versions. Recently, I was looking for an EVGA 2070 Super, and now they have a bunch of different models. They have the EVGA Black, then they have the XC, then the XC Ultra, then the 4-1-3. How are you supposed to know which one is good for you? Of course, they're all priced differently, usually in increments of like 20 or 30 bucks. For the 1.3 is usually going to be maybe 40 or $50 more. They have bigger coolers and bigger overclocking. But what does that mean? In a lot of benchmarks and tests, they don't really show that big of a difference. But 40 or 50 bucks for something you're going to keep for many years, it might be worth it if there's a little bit of a difference, but if there isn't, I always suggest going for the best bang for the buck, the best value for your dollar. And if things weren't confusing enough, when I was looking at the EVGA XC, XC Ultra, 4-1-3, etc., I searched online and I saw that there's a plus version of them too. So not only do you have all these different SKUs, you also have a weird plus version. The only thing that I can see that's different is about a 10% memory overclock. These look like they're a little bit better bin GPUs. Maybe they've refined the process over the last few months after they've released the initial 2070 Supers. And now these are sort of like the best of the bunch. Now, these also seem to be more expensive than the regular versions. For example, the 4-1-3 2070 Super was about $579 in most places, but this weird plus version, which was on Newegg, is about $599. So it is a little bit more expensive, and you don't really know the benefit. If you're already confused about which 2070 Super to get, imagine getting this information, because each card has a plus version now. Is it going to make a difference? Are you getting a better value with those? Who knows? And not only that, as tech enthusiasts, what's the first thing you do when you want to buy something? You search on YouTube, you search online for reviews, other people's mentionings of this. I try to look for this plus version. There's barely any news. There's a couple of articles that just mention it it's a 10% memory overclock, but you can't really find different benchmarks or user reviews. Even the forums didn't really seem to know too much about what was going on. So that really makes it confusing. Now, you step into other graphics cards, the 1660, 1660 Ti, 1660 Super. It's really close, and how are you supposed to know which one's different? One graphics card will be like 220 bucks, another would be 250, another 280. It's really hard to judge what kind of separates these cards. Sometimes you'll get a really good card, sometimes it's going to be a mediocre card, and unless you do days and days of research and really see what's best, and maybe you're lucky and you land upon maybe a YouTube review or even a website review that really pinpoints the best card. If you're standing in one of these stores and you're trying to figure out which GPU that you want, it's going to be really hard. If you're at Best Buy or even Micro Center, which has a huge selection, it's really hard to choose between these different SKUs because, of course, you know that more money means more performance, but at what cost? If that was the only metric, you might as well get a Titan, RTX or a 2080 Ti and just be done with it and know that you're going to have the best performance there. But really, we're looking for the best performance for the dollar, and that's not always the most obvious card. And on these, lower end GPUs, as you get to the mid-range and these nicer cards like the 2070 and 2060 Super, the more SKUs that you have in there, that they have different coolers, they have different bin chips, it gets really confusing and it's hard for the consumer to know exactly what they want. So the GPU is typically the most awesome and important component in a gaming PC. The CPU is important in RAM, but the GPU is where people really get excited. So there definitely is a lot of SKUs, and it takes a lot of research to find the right one, if you want to get the best performance for the dollar, but hopefully in the future, Nvidia and the other GPU companies make their sort of SKUs a little bit easier to understand, and maybe not have as many, maybe just 3 different versions for each card, or even 2 different versions, because right now it feels like there's like 4 or 5 different versions, and then those versions each have a little bit of information about them that make them really different, and they may have like a sub version like the Plus one that I mentioned. So hopefully that gets a little bit more clear. So I want to hear what you guys think, if you've had this similar experience, if you've seen this before, if you're in the market for the GPU. Is there anything that confused you, anything that threw you off? So let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. Remember, we have new videos every Tuesday and Friday, and every Monday we have a Tech News Corner. All right, take care guys, and I'll see you on the next video.